In 2089, Dr. Elizabeth Shaw and her husband Charlie lead an archaeologist team. They stumble upon cave paintings in Scotland, dating back a whopping 35,000 years. Fast forward 2 years, the spaceship Prometheus leaves Earth with the entire crew in hibernation. David, a robot overseeing everything, uses his free time to learn about humans, diving into ancient languages and even playing basketball. After a 2-year journey, the ship reaches its destination. David wakes up the crew and they all chow down to recover from hibernation. Captain Yannick, feeling festive, suggests setting up a Christmas tree since the crew missed the holiday festivities. Vickers, the overseer, isn't too thrilled about the idea. The mission kicks off and she plays a holographic recording from Mr. Wan, the CEO funding the expedition. Wan explains that by the time the team watches the recording, he'll be gone. He introduces David to the crew, considering him the closest thing he has to a son. The expedition is funded because Dr. Elizabeth and Charlie have a theory about paintings worldwide, suggesting a star map leading to a planet with its own sun, capable of sustaining life. Elizabeth believes these paintings were left by alien beings called engineers, potentially the creators of humanity. However, the rest of the team is skeptical and mainly there for the money. Vickers calls the couple to her room, where Elizabeth becomes intrigued by an autonomous life support medical module. Vickers doubts the significance of the cave drawings, aiming to ensure the money isn't wasted. If they find life on the planet, they are forbidden from making contact, much to the couple's displeasure. David, on the other hand, has spent the last 2 years studying ancient languages. He's confident he can communicate with the engineers. But here's the twist. When they send a message to the planet, there's no response. Undeterred, the crew decides to land, hoping to uncover signs of life. As they enter the atmosphere, Charlie spots straight lines on the ground that just don't seem natural. They decide to land the spaceship there. Now the team gears up for an expedition, even though David doesn't really need to. He puts on a protective suit to fit in with the humans. Using vehicles, they approach a mysterious structure. Geologist Fifield can't quite figure out if it's natural or not, but he's dead sure it's hollow. Inside, he sends his devices to map the whole area. Lo and behold, they stumble upon a water source heated by sunlight. Surprisingly, the CO2 levels are normal, unlike the toxic outside environment. Charlie takes a brave step, removing his helmet to confirm the air is perfectly breathable. With a sigh of relief, everyone follows suit, breathing freely. Now here's where it gets interesting. David spots a wall covered in strange goo and symbols. Using his knowledge, he activates a hologram, revealing creatures running through corridors. The team's curiosity piqued, they decide to follow one of these creatures. Behind a door, they find the crushed body of an alien being. It gets dangerous, and Fifield decides it's time to head back to the ship, along with the biologist Milburn. But the others, they want a closer look at the alien body. David manages to open the door, revealing the intact head of the alien. In this room, there's an enormous statue, shaped like a humanoid head, along with drawings on the ceiling and scattered cylinders. David notices one of them releasing a dark substance, and the team realizes the room has been contaminated. As they exit, preserved objects start decomposing, and the doctor wraps the alien head to take it with them. David seizes the opportunity to take one of the cylinders, unaware of its contents. Meanwhile, back on the ship, the captain discovers a dangerous storm approaching rapidly. He warns everyone to return before Vickers raises the ship's ramp in 15 minutes. The team hurries out of the cave, speeding back as fast as possible. They manage to arrive on time, but during the process, the alien head falls from the vehicle. Elizabeth, determined to retrieve it, gets caught in the storm. Charlie tries to save her, but ends up trapped too. Both are pulled in by David, using the ship's cables. Afterward, the team discovers that Milburn and Fifield haven't returned and are lost inside the structure. The plot thickens, leaving the crew facing an unknown and potentially dangerous situation. But here's the twist. Yen contacts them, explaining that they can't be rescued due to the storm. They'll have to wait until the next morning. Meanwhile, the team examines the alien head they retrieved. When they open it, they discover a helmet, revealing a humanoid alien head with rapidly changing cells. Curious minds at work, they decide to implant a device that sends electrical charges to move the muscles. At first, it works. The face begins to make gestures. However, things take a wrong turn, and the excessive stimulation causes the head to explode. Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, undeterred, examines a sample she collected and is amazed to find that the DNA is compatible with human DNA. This discovery supports her theory that these beings truly created the human race. While Elizabeth is immersed in her findings, David decides to perform maintenance on one of the hibernation pods, holding a mysterious person. Only Vickers knows about it, and she demands angrily that David spills the details. David, keeping it mysterious, tells the team to try harder and secretly goes to inspect the cylinder he brought. It contains several capsules with a dark liquid, sparking an unpleasant idea. In a surprising turn, David decides to find Charlie for a drink. As they ponder how far they would go to obtain the answers they desire, he sneaks something into the doctor's drink. Later, in his room, Elizabeth shares the news about the DNA discovery. They celebrate the breakthrough by having fun, unlike Milburn and Fifield, who observe a terrifying pile of engineer cups. The next day, Charlie wakes up feeling very sick and notices something strange in his eyes. Captain Yannick attempts to communicate with Fifield and Milburn, but can't reach them. Worried, the team sets out in search of the two missing members. The plot thickens as the crew faces the unknown and potentially perilous challenges ahead. But here's where the plot thickens. David goes off on his own, transmitting everything to Vickers through a camera on his helmet. However, his journey takes a surprising turn when he stumbles upon a room filled with hibernation pods of the aliens. Intrigued, David tinkers with a machine showing holograms of the engineers looking at a star map with Earth on it. The video ends, and David spots one capsule glowing with a live engineer inside. Surprise twist, it turns out that Charlie was the one feeling ill all along, still on the hunt for his colleagues. As the search for the missing crew members continues, Elizabeth realizes that Charlie is sick. They finally find Milburn's body, still with the creature inside him. But Fifield's body has mysteriously disappeared. Charlie, reaching his breaking point, is taken back to the ship for quarantine. However, his skin turns dark and Vickers refuses to let him enter the ship. An intense argument ensues between Elizabeth, the captain, and Vickers. In a tragic moment, Charlie throws himself in front of Vickers and is burned alive. The team is put in quarantine, and an examination reveals Elizabeth is 3 months pregnant. An impossible situation since she was in hibernation during that time. The fetus has a strange and terrifying form, and Elizabeth wants it removed. But David claims he doesn't have the resources or the right team for the necessary surgery. Amidst intense pain in her abdomen, David, aware of what's inside her, sedates Elizabeth. He orders the rest of the team to put her in a hibernation pod. However, Elizabeth manages to escape and, in search of a medical solution, recalls the autonomous medical capsule in Vickers' room. Not fully prepared for a cesarean section, Elizabeth requests the extraction of the foreign body. The morphine isn't enough to relieve her pain, and as a claw removes the fetus, it explodes. A terrifying creature attempts to break free, but the doctor endures until the machine sutures her wound, locking the alien outside. Yannick notices something strange in front of the ship. In the end, it's revealed that Fifield has turned into a monster, attacking everyone. Projectiles seem ineffective against him, but with a flamethrower and even a truck, they manage to stop the creature. Meanwhile, Elizabeth goes to the infirmary in search of medication and discovers that Mr. Huand was the mysterious person David was conversing with in the capsule. Huand wishes to ask his creator for eternal life, and David will guide him to the engineer. The plot unfolds with unexpected twists and turns, leaving the crew facing unforeseen challenges. But here's where the plot thickens. They discover a structure on the planet. Dr. Elizabeth tries to explain that the planet is dangerous and not what they thought, but unfortunately, no one seems to be heeding her warning. They gear up with some kind of exoskeleton to help them navigate and walk. Elizabeth, determined to overcome the pain she's feeling, suits up to face the aliens. But before heading out, she talks to Yannick. Yannick drops a bombshell. This isn't the engineer's home planet, but a military base where they were producing that dark liquid. It was intended as a weapon of mass destruction, but it leaked and ended up killing all the engineers. The captain, originally wanting to return to Earth, gets persuaded by Elizabeth to wait until she can speak with the only surviving engineer, Huand, who's eager to meet his creator. However, Vickers appears, attempting to stop them, and surprise, she turns out to be Huand's daughter. As the team arrives at the structure, David instructs everyone to remove their helmets, claiming that the disease isn't in the air. Elizabeth wonders how her husband got infected. They enter a room full of cylinders, and David calls it a cargo hole. The captain and Vickers realize it's not a cave, but a spaceship. David activates a machine and explains that these creatures were heading towards Earth, but lost control of the dark liquid which destroyed them. At that moment, the last engineer awakens, and Elizabeth attempts to ask him questions. However, Wand orders one of his mercenaries to shut her up. He then asks David to communicate with the humanoid, who violently grabs his head and uses it to kill him. The engineer then pushes the doctor to attack the mercenaries. From the ship, Vickers witnesses the death of her father and orders the captain to prepare everything to leave the planet. Meanwhile, Elizabeth escapes while the creature activates its own ship, planning to fly towards Earth. The doctor warns Yannick about the threat of the dark liquid that will destroy all of humanity if it reaches Earth. Yannick orders the pilots to increase the ion ratio, turning the ship into a bullet. Vickers escapes after finding out that her chamber was ejected from the ship, and the captain asks the pilots to do the same. However, they choose to stay by his side, and he uses maximum power to hit the engineer ship. The two ships collide in the air, successfully preventing the engineer's escape. The story unfolds with unexpected twists and turns, leaving the crew facing unforeseen challenges on this mysterious alien world. But things take a turn when the spaceship starts plummeting toward the ground, putting Elizabeth and Vickers in serious danger. In a twist of fate, only the doctor manages to survive the chaotic descent. Elizabeth, determined to persevere, heads to the ejected chamber to gather essential supplies. However, her plans take an unexpected twist when she hears peculiar noises. Upon closer inspection, she discovers that the alien creature, born from her abdomen, is not only alive but has grown significantly larger. As if that weren't enough, a new threat emerges: the engineer. This humanoid being attacks Elizabeth, creating a frantic escape for the doctor when the alien creature retaliates against the engineer. In the midst of this chaos, David manages to establish contact with Elizabeth. To her surprise, he reveals the existence of more engineer spaceships hidden underground. Sensing an opportunity, David offers his assistance. Elizabeth, now faced with a critical decision, chooses to rescue David's head and body. Instead of opting for a safe return to Earth, she makes an unconventional request: a journey to the engineer's home planet. David agrees, and as they depart the perilous planet aboard an alien ship, Dr. Elizabeth sends a heartfelt message to Earth explaining the unfolding events. In a final, mysterious scene, an alien creature emerges from the body of the deceased engineer. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more content. Don't forget to activate notifications and give us a thumbs up to support the channel, and we will meet you next time.